Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the All Sports Best podcast. I am here with Coach Tim Campos. To give him a little bit of a background, he had a huge impact on me as a baseball player, a big friend of mine and to my family as well. Now a coach at ABA, or Albuquerque Baseball Academy, where he's continued to develop college players and pro players. I think he just spoke to a pro player right now, right before we started this podcast, as a matter of fact. Coach, how you doing?
Doing fantastic, man. Happy to be here.
So I've got a lot of questions for you. We'll keep it pretty short. You're a busy man. Biggest thing going on in the sport right now is the MLB playoffs. We've seen talent from New Mexico, college, whatever. Right now in the playoffs, it's Alex Bregman, it's Mitch Garver, and then Kyle Bradish played at New Mexico State. There's other guys in the league right now, but those are the guys that come to mind because of the playoffs. Did some of these guys go through ABA, and if so, like what kind of, what did that do for them?
Alex Bregman obviously came up through Albuquerque Baseball Academy. Albuquerque Baseball Academy has been around since 1998. So he had a huge coming through. Obviously, his current hitting coach, Jason Columbus, was a hitting coach here during that time. Spent a lot of time with him and Ryan Brewer just growing up. Got involved in the USA baseball circuit at a young age of 12, and that tends to be the kind of the springboard. Getting into that USA baseball realm. Early on, I think it has happened with Stephen Malam at a Cruces, got involved early, and that really helped springboard some of their careers. So those are all big pieces. Mitch Garver coming up, a La Cueva product, kind of had come from a legacy of La Cueva guys with Pacheco and Austin House and some of those guys that were coming through. So those guys went up through UNM and performed really well, and now has really made an impact on the big stage. He was with the Twins, and then I think when catching coach got a hold of him, and catch coaches with the Yankees now, kind of he made a huge change in his in the way that he was catching and his defensive metrics, and that kind of propelled him. And then his hitting just went through the roof. And now you got him. He's literally kind of like a seasoned veteran on that Rangers lineup, and so it's awesome. It's pretty cool to watch. To see him hit that granny yesterday, and 2 for 6 with 5 ribbies is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, it's really cool to see the New Mexico talent doing big things, making an impact. Obviously, Bregman was that guy as well. All right, so I want to talk about you for a second. A lot of the people that I know that know you, we talk about the fact that you are just a baseball encyclopedia. You know a lot about baseball, pitching, hitting, training is probably your specialty. Would you say that? Maybe training?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy all facets. I try to be a generalist. Try to build out all of the all the different pieces that go with it. I'm trying to trying to get all of the pieces together and on the training side of things. Meaning, I like when I'm having a conversation with a strength conditioning coach, I want to be able to have a good conversation with a strength conditioning coach about methods, pedagogy, the whole 9 yards. If I'm talking to an orthopedic surgeon or a physical therapy, I want to be able to have an intelligent conversation with them. That I could talk about the inner workings of the arm, the biokinetics, all the kinematics of the delivery. And if I'm talking with the sports guy, I want to be able to talk about skill acquisition. I'm really big into the Dr. Rob Gray and his Perception and Action podcast going on right now. And getting ready to fly down to Florida on the 20th through the 22nd for a big skill acquisition summit. Dr. Frans Bosch from the Netherlands, he wrote a book called Anatomy of Agility. And Randy Sullivan from the Florida Baseball Ranch, just basically learning how do people learn? How do they acquire skill? And so that's kind of been a rabbit hole I've been down. And but really just want to be a generalist, want to be able to know enough about all the pieces so that way I can have a 20,000 foot view and kind of look. When I look down on training, I want to look and say, okay, this is what strength conditioning needs to be doing. This is what the physical therapy needs doing, how it fits. I want to be a practical applicator. And I learned that obviously from Ron Woolforth. Going back to 2005, I just kind of randomly got a chance to go to that coach's clinic, and that just changed my perspective to be a practical applicator of information.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. When I go take my vehicle into the mechanic and they say, this is what's wrong, I'm like, here's my money. I don't know what's going on. So it'd be probably better to know more things. And in your case, a lot about a lot in the sport of baseball, which is awesome. Who are some guys in the lab right now with you that we should see in the big leagues, maybe next season or even in the coming few seasons?
Well, right now, obviously first is Chase Silseth, who spent some time up with the Angels this year. We've been working together since the sophomore year in high school. But obviously he was the first guy out of the 2021 draft to get called up. So he got to spend some time. He went back and forth between AAA and the pros this year. Ended out on a really high note. I think going into this offseason, our goals is for him to start off the year at the big league level and to stay there. Second would probably be Mitchell Parker. Mitchell Parker finished up at AAA. This is his 40-man year, so they'll have to put him on the 40-man, or they'll have to put him on the Rule 5 waiver list to where other teams can claim him. So they'll have to eventually put him on the 40-man come spring training time. So that's going to be a good fit for him. Try to, make his move on impact. He'll follow along lines of what Jackson Rutledge did this year with the Nationals. He basically was on the 40-man, played down at AAA for most of the season, and then got called up there towards the end of the year. So hopefully he kind of follows that route and continues to perform at a high level. I think he had the most strikeouts in their minor league org this year, and his whip was pretty low. He did fantastic. And then there's Sammy Natera, New Mexico State guy that comes in. He's with the Angels. He got promoted from Tri-City Dust Devils to AA Rocket City Trash Pandas at the end of the year. So excited for him. We've got Brandon Pimentel, also with the Nationals. He's a hitter. His girlfriend happens to live here in town, so he comes up from El Paso. He was a New Mexico JC, and then I think he went to University of Texas San Antonio. I think there with or Rio Grande Valley, RGV with he was at RGV, got drafted out of there, so he's in his first year pro ball, so he comes in and does some hitting stuff. And then of course, a lot of our high level Division I kids, we got Zach Kmatz, we got Aiden May, you've got Grant Smith that's at Kentucky. All those guys be rolling through, and then of course all of our Lobos and New Mexico State guys. We got a couple guys down at New Mexico State, and quite a few guys here at UNM. So excited.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent in New Mexico. It's nice to see that. I feel like, I don't know, rewind 15 years ago, there wasn't a ton of talk around New Mexico beyond maybe like, hey, there's this one guy that's in the big leagues. Now I feel like we can talk for a while about some New Mexico talent for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's been awesome. Just taking a look at, that was my goal 5 years ago coming into ABA was just for someone to say, hey, where are all these 90-mile arms coming from? And we're starting to build a pretty good pipeline. So
my wife tells me that at 31 years old, I should go and try out. Constantly tells me this, right? It's easy. It's easy to do, right? We got to just do it.
Right.
So my question for you, how long would it take you to get me big league ready, Coach?
That's another tech. And I mean, you're a pretty good talent yourself. The big thing for you, for me is the training is about progression. You got to start somewhere. And then if you slowly build it up, I just think a lot of people really underestimate the amount of accumulation of skill work it takes and accumulation of power work it takes to really play this game at a high level. And so that accumulation and that progression is pretty awesome. So it's all inspiring sometimes.
All right. Well, yeah. So I can tell her, look, it's going to take me a lot longer than I have in terms of athletic ability. All
You got quite a few hours of deliberate practice under your belt still.
True. All right. So when I was playing for you, Jaeger bands were the hottest thing, right? It's like you don't have these. You're gonna find out soon that you're gonna need them. You introduced them to me, and that was a huge part of my training back then. What right now is hot, and what's something that you see and you're like, that's gonna be hot coming up?
I'd say the biggest thing right now are these. We got these little arm care dynamometers. It's a company called armcare.com. Um, it's basically a handheld dynamometer. What a dynamometer is basically it's a force plate. So basically, what these do is before the kid throws, he'll test his arm strength. So it'll tell him how strong his arm is accelerator, how strong his decelerators are, how strong his shoulder blade is, and how strong his pinch grip is. The pinch grip's important because there's a muscle that kind of protects the UCL. That's a big fatigue factor. So we want to know that information. So they'll take a
Wow.
test before they throw. They'll go and they'll do all their throwing and their training, and then they'll take a test after, and it tells me what effect I had on my training. So it's a pretty awesome piece of technology. They have a whole platform and a database that kind of so we can have our physical therapists monitor and get more frequent windows of observation. So that way, hopefully, we're catching fatigue ahead of time instead of being reactionary.
Okay.
Before we've used the driveline pulse, which is tracks every throw and how much stress is on every throw. Those are all key factors. But also, I think the force plate thing is really a big piece. Getting really, really, strategic about how we're trying to manage our arms right now, and I'm trying to find out every tool, every piece of information to give our kids the edge, and quite frankly, to prevent injury.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that keeps me up at night.
Yeah, that is something that's wild. I know you every time I've talked to you, there's something new. And you have it. Like it's not just, yeah, I heard of this one thing. It's like, yeah, I heard of this one thing. Oh, and it's right here. You have it, right? So I've taken
Yeah, we
athletes to you before and you've done tests on them, full analytics to the point where we know, hey, this is where the leak is. It's his front leg. It's, whatever it might be. And that always fascinated me. It's just getting better and better and better.
Yeah, so we use a couple things, obviously slow motion, video, but we use a company called 3Motion AI or ProPlay AI. It's embedded with our driveline track software program, and we're able to take videos of guys at 100 frames per second and kind of break it down, and it gives us based off that information, uses this kind of real highly sophisticated algorithm, and it gives us kind of information about arm speed, hip rotation, gives us angles and speeds. And from that information, it kind of gives us information about what they do. Not so much information about what I want to change, but I want to know what they do. And if I know what they do, then I can now tailor their training to either shield against stress or kind of optimize efficiency. And so that's
Wow.
kind of the lens I look at things through. I think so quickly coaches are in a hurry to put their stamp on a kid and create this one ideal movement solution when really we need to create variable, robust athletes that have multiple movement solutions and and so that they can handle a lot of different environments, a lot of different tasks. I think that's the biggest thing we can do to prevent injury. So
Okay. All right. So we're
yeah, a lot in
analyzing.
there.
Yeah, there is. So that's one of the things that we did was we analyzed everything and then we go, okay, this is what you need to do. This is what it's not just one size fits all. But with
No, it's
that
not.
with that being said, if I'm a pitcher and you've never seen me, but I'm like, you know what, I really need to just get better. What is one thing that you could say? Is there anything that you would say, hey, this is where we can start, regardless of if you throw hard, you don't, you want to be more accurate. Like, what's one thing that you go, this is where I want you to start?
The biggest thing where we start is to get them in the weight room. Quite frankly, the biggest thing that they can do for themselves is become a more strong, durable athlete. And getting in the weight room and getting it to training age one is job one. Kids have got to be able to master their body weight. They've got to be able to have stability through different movements. And the one thing that I think, especially youth kids, can do, yeah, to benefit them the most is the importance of the weight room, the importance of a well-designed movement over maxes kind of program, and but that is the first thing that they can do.
Okay. Very cool. So then I'd imagine the same thing goes for hitters.
Absolutely. I mean, that, a lot of kids, especially young kids going up through, they have windows of adaptation. Dr. Greg Rose from the Titleist Performance Institute, he runs this thing called On Base U. But he talks about in his lectures, he talks about windows of adaptation. When kids are going through rapid growth states, when they're growing at their fastest points, those are huge windows that they could be adapting rotational ability. And a lot of kids miss those windows. So they're not getting robust, rotation training. They're not getting robust throwing training during that time, plyometric training during that time. And so their body just never adapts to those movement qualities. And so, getting those key windows of adaptation is really important.
Okay. All right. So this year we're seeing a very exciting playoffs, right? The postseason is absolutely amazing. It's electric. There's a chance that we could see Alex Bregman versus Mitch Garver. Do you think that that happens in the AL? It's what, the ALCS?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I mean, Texas up 2-0. I think Houston's tied 1-1. Although Minnesota's playing a little hot, I still think, I think Houston's just got the depth to make it work. And quite frankly, kind of an all Texas ALDS would be pretty interesting. So, ALCS would be pretty interesting. So, yeah, I think that's going to happen. I mean, and that'll be pretty cool thing for all New Mexico fans to watch that.
For sure. So, with that being said, who is in the World Series this year? What's your prediction?
I'm riding Texas, man. I just think they're hot. They're just, it's who's hot, who's not. I think it's Texas, and then on the NL side, I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's either Dodgers or, I'm a big fan of the Dodgers, but who knows? Diamondbacks could sneak in there, but that would be a cool deal. But I just, it goes down to who's hot at the right time. So put me on a spot to be Texas Dodgers.
Okay, awesome. Coach, thank you. I know you're a busy man. You got a busy schedule. I appreciate it. Next time I'm in Albuquerque, maybe we can do another part of this.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to get into some youth training and some other stuff like that and dive a little deeper. I appreciate the time, and sorry for the short window.
No, very good. All right, well, enjoy. Have a good day, and we'll talk soon.
All right, man.